I can introduce myself. My name is Magdalena Jensen. I work for The Orchard, one of the leading global digital distribution companies in the world. We're going to get into the details of The Orchard today as a company, and what are the possibilities that you have working with The Orchard. Splashed throughout the presentation and in the second half, there will be a lot of information that are kind of tips and tricks about how to work with your digital distributor regardless of whether or not it's The Orchard. So I highly suggest you make some notes for yourself. And I can't really see you guys very well, but I would like to ask a couple of questions of you, and I'm going to ask you to put your hands up. I want to understand a little bit who's in the audience. Do we have artist managers in the audience? Oh yeah, lots of hands up, thank you, thank you. Do we have musicians in the audience? Okay, great. Label owners? Record label companies? Yeah, okay, yeah, great. Hello. PR companies? Yeah, I see a lot of people putting up a lot of... That's typical. It's very normal in the developing, let's say, lesser developed, developing markets that we all wear a lot of different hats. I myself am an artist manager as well as working at The Orchard. Presentation is here. Great. So, I would like to encourage you to make a note for yourself of questions. I will make sure that there's question time at the end. I am not speaking for an hour because you will all fall asleep. So I really do encourage you to ask questions. I will literally point to people and say, what is your question, if I don't see you putting up your hand, because I was told that Latvians are shy. Today is not the time to be shy because you have someone in front of you happy to answer questions. You won't get that opportunity tomorrow, the next day. So please make sure you're asking your questions today, okay? And we will make sure at the end that there's a microphone going around as well so everybody can hear your question. All right. So, everybody settled? Can I start officially? Yeah. Yay! Okay. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning, so forgive me if I start to stumble over my words or fall asleep or whatever. No, I'm kidding. So, The Orchard. What is The Orchard? The Orchard is a digital distribution company, as I said. We work together with artists and labels to basically grow your business. We make sure that your music gets on platforms, and then we help make sure it gets to people as well. So, what are some of the things that you can do with The Orchard? First of all, The Orchard blends industry, expertise, and technology. We've existed for, I think, 22 years, so we are one of the first digital distributors in the world as well. We are a large company, but we are also a very globally integrated company. As you can see, we have over 400 team members in over 40 territories. So major labels function sort of as multinationals, right? You have the individual offices in individual countries, and they don't necessarily work together. It's a little bit difficult to take advantage of the global aspect of a major label system or another multinational company. But with The Orchard as a global company, we really do work together all the time. Tuesdays, we have EU marketing calls. We have a marketing call with the US. The teams really do talk to each other, and we really do support each other. We have Tuesday evenings as well, a call with all of the Central Eastern European representatives where we discuss each other's priorities, challenges, and we really do work together. Also, we're all music people. Like I mentioned, I also manage bands. A lot of the people within The Orchard come from a music background. Either a musician, either a manager, either a label owner, etc. And so it's a really musically driven, very passionate company. One of the key things that The Orchard does is we really, really leverage data, and we really use our technology that we have to our best, to the best advantage that we can to really support you. And I'll delve into some of those things in a few minutes. We are creator focused. That means it's up to really you to create, to initiate, and we can take it further and amplify what it is that you do already. Not only do we have a digital supply chain, but we also have a physical supply chain, a global physical supply chain. So if that's something of interest to you, we can also talk about that. Some of these labels might be, you might recognize them. So these are some of our key global partners. So we have Cooking Vinyl out of the UK, Red Bull Records, 30 Tigers, Daptone. Additionally, we have new artist services teams as well in a few countries in Europe, as well as the United States. So we have an artist services team in Berlin, the United Kingdom, France, and in the US for now. Artist services means that we work directly and very closely with an artist and a management to grow an individual artist. So that's a slightly different than strictly label distribution. That's a new offering that we have, though. And those teams are growing very rapidly this year around the world. What are the myriad of things that you can do within the orchard? First of all, music and video distribution. That's pretty straightforward. Second, pretty straightforward as well, digital and physical sales and marketing. Additionally, the things that really bring us above and beyond some of the other distributors out there, we have really, really great real-time analytics opportunities. We'll get into them in a minute. We have a technology portal, a technology platform called the Workstation that integrates a lot of real-time data into it, so you can really track what happens to your song on Amazon, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. You can literally get down to the song, who streams it, where are they, what age are they, what gender are they, and you can start to really delve deep into your data. Additionally, we have really great in-house advertising teams. We have a team, so for this region, the team that you would most closely work with would be out of Germany. We have teams as well in the UK and the United States. These are really high-level experts in digital advertising, where we can do both on platform, so on Apple and on Spotify platforms, advertising, as well as off-platform advertising on other websites. We have a comprehensive suite of opportunities there as well. Additionally, our in-house advertising team does some content creation, and we can really support you to also build out the assets needed for your campaigns. We then, switching as well to the other side of things, we have UGC. Does everybody know what UGC means? Anyone? Means user-generated content. So we have user-generated content and fingerprinting services. So that means basically when you upload your track to our workstation, you put in your metadata, and we feed that metadata out to all of the DSPs who then comb services like YouTube or TikTok to basically make sure that whoever is using your music for their video, you're getting the money for it, basically. That goes together with YouTube channel support. We have one of the biggest MCNs in the world. Do you guys know what an MCN is? It's a multi-channel network. So that means it is a network of YouTube channels. We have a music MCN, one of the biggest in the world, top 10. That means we bring a lot of eyes to one group of videos, which means we get preferential rates with YouTube because we bring more eyes to one set of channels. Does that make sense? Cool. We as well have royalties solutions that we can implement and bolt onto your service. That means we can help you track your royalties for the artists involved. We also have performance collections in 40 different territories around the world. We work on neighboring rights collections in particular. And we have a sync and licensing division in the UK and the US specifically. So that means we are able to pitch your music out as well to TV ads, etc. We're going to get into some of these in detail throughout the presentation. So, as I mentioned, music distribution, where are our offices? We have an office. I'm coming to you guys from the Warsaw office. I live in Poland and work out of Poland. But we have offices all the way from Tokyo to Sydney, LA, Rio. We're growing our Asia division, including India, and we're growing Africa out as well. The company has grown a lot in the past couple of years, and so we're really focusing on growing local offices and local territories. That actually mirrors what DSPs are doing. Does everybody know what a DSP is? Digital service provider. So that's a short word for saying Spotify, Apple, Amazon, all of them in one. That's a DSP, right? So We are mirroring what the DSPs are doing. DSPs are focusing on working on local content and promoting local content as much as possible because that's what statistics show that audiences like to listen to. They like to listen to local content more. So as DSPs are opening offices in certain territories, we generally follow right behind them. We don't have an office specifically for the Baltics yet because the DSPs don't either. So there's nobody for us to talk to specifically at the DSPs for Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. The content curation is done out of Poland. That's why we work out of the Polish office for the Baltics. Plus, our markets, I think, have a lot of similarities. You'll see towards the end of the presentation, we're going to do a case study of how to work best in Poland, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up some tips and tricks from there that will be similar to how to work in your market as well. Let's delve a little bit into some of the analytics and business intelligence that we have. This is something that we're really proud of because we're really able to put a lot of things and a lot of data on the table in front of you, on your desktop rather in front of you. We have our tool that I already mentioned. This is our own unique technology. It's called Workstation. So Workstation is basically our one-stop shop for everything that you're going to do with the orchard. Not only will you upload everything into Workstation, all of your content, you will also be able to analyze all of your analytics here and plan some marketing campaigns. So we generally like to provide you with as much analytics as possible so that you can also be smarter in planning your marketing campaigns. You can be smarter in how you spend your money, and we can help you do that as well. Not only are you able to understand listening habits and delve deep into the habits of your listeners, what platform they use, how much time do they spend on that platform, what is a skip rate for your songs and your tracks. Not only are you able to find out that information, do they save it to their collection or not, you're able to start to analyze a little bit and plan campaigns accordingly. But we also are able to give you a breakdown of your financial statements, as well as a geographical breakdown as to where your fans are. Sorry, I never use these. I probably should use this screen. That's what this is for, so I don't have to break my neck staring at the big one. Something that we're quite proud of and that is really new for us this year is this application, Orchard Go, that puts your data analytics in your pocket. So when you're going into a meeting at a brand, let's say you want to work and collaborate with, what was the alcohol that we have here today? Yeah, exactly. So let's say you want to go and collaborate with them and you go into their offices and you want to discuss with them where your fans are, etc. You can whip out this cute, sexy little app and actually literally show them right there what data which can really enhance your collaboration with different partners, right? We will, something else that's really cool about the app is that it also gives you push notifications when you are playlisted. So if a track of yours is playlisted, you'll get on several different platforms, not just Spotify. We mirror a lot of what Spotify does in their Spotify for Artists app, but it brings it all into one. So if you're added to a playlist on Apple Music or if you're added to a playlist on Spotify Music, you'll get a push notification, which in the busy mobile lives that we lead, that's super convenient because you can immediately either alert your artist or do it yourself and just run to your social media and make a post about that as well. As I've mentioned already, we really, really like to have a very data-driven approach. So our advertising team really heavily relies on the statistics and the audience data that they find about your artist and about your campaign in order to best plan and strategize advertising campaigns. So we can support you guys to decide if it makes sense to drive people to Spotify, if it makes sense to drive people to Apple, if it makes sense to drive people to Amazon, if it makes sense to target men or women more. We're really happy to go through all of your data with you and try to be smarter with every single release so that your investment that you put into releases has higher likelihood of coming back to you. So I've already touched a little bit on advertising, sales, and marketing. Let's delve into it a little bit further. We have, I already mentioned some of the advertising opportunities we have, but we have some really exciting an in-house advertising team that does really great off-platform work as well. Here are some of the examples of the things that you can see that we've done in Times Square, on Rolling Stone, on social media, etc. Is this working? Okay. There we go. Yes, so sales and marketing. So some of the other things that we can do digitally for you. We're happy to help put together some of the really cool visuals, and we're happy to put together advertising campaigns across different platforms. Here at the bottom you see some Apple Music opportunities. Here at the top you see some Spotify opportunities, and here on the right you see some YouTube Music opportunities. These are all things we're really happy to work together with you on. We are very, very dedicated to helping our clients build their audience and build their fan base in a smart way, as I've already said. It makes more sense. The number kind of 101 rule of marketing is if you target to a really wide audience, your return on investment is usually really low because you don't necessarily know who you're targeting to. It doesn't make sense to hit up someone who's a fan of rock music if you're trying to push Latina music. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Whereas if you're able to analyze your audiences a little bit more, understand who they are, and drive to a much smaller group of people, you spend your money more wisely because you increase the likelihood that they'll actually be interested in what you have to offer. Does that make sense? Cool. We do some content creation. We're really happy to get to do some really cool asset creation and to use our expertise to help you plan campaigns, to help you plan pre-save campaigns, long-tail campaigns. We're happy to help you put together some really interesting off-platform activations. We're starting to get really close with TikTok as well, so we're really excited to be able to plan comprehensive challenges across TikTok, etc. Touching on the performance rights, we have our metadata system that we have within the workstation is extremely comprehensive, and we push out metadata to all of the possible platforms. We work with over 40 different collection societies to be able to collect not only performance royalties but neighboring rights as well. Everything goes through the same workstation system, so it's all in a very comprehensive one-stop shop, and you can easily trace it all. And one piece of information that I think is really important for you guys to remember is that statistically, approximately 14% of your income annually should be from rights collection. If it's not, that means there's money lying around for you to be collected somewhere around the world. And so this is a service that we can help you with. We can help you find that money in different countries because it might be sitting in some collection society in Colombia that you just had no idea, right? So I suggest that all of you guys do a quick audit of your income over the past couple of years and make sure that you're collecting approximately 14% of your income from rights. As I mentioned, here are some of our key high-profile syncs recently. We have a really great team in the UK and a really great team in the United States working with some of the top music supervisors in the world. This is a non-exclusive service that we offer, so we are happy to pitch your catalog, and we're happy to pitch your music. You're able to also work with other people on that. That's fine. Oh, now I'm supposed to hit it twice, I think. Yes. Okay, wait. How do I pause? Or not. This is an artist called Alma. So now we're getting into our case study part of the presentation. This is an artist called Alma from Bulgaria. We can watch a second of her video and then I'll give you more details. I'm going to skip on from there because we all kind of get the point, I think. So before I give you a slide with a bunch of information, let me give you a tiny bit of context. Alma is an artist that we have signed to, that is signed to a record label that we work with in Bulgaria called Virginia Records. Right? Interesting. Would you have expected that? I wouldn't have necessarily. But the record label has made a really big push with her across several different territories together with us. And what we will focus on today is what they've done in Poland. And the reason that I chose this is because there's some really clear pointers and step-by-step things that you can do if you want to do well in Poland. And what they did also, the way that they worked allowed us, as their distributor, to amplify what they did and mirror some of the things that they're doing also on DSPs and on different platforms. Yes. So, first of all, I want to show you some of the outcomes and some of the successes that we've had with Alma in Poland. So that track that you just saw a bit of was a song called Perfect. It was released in January, and we're only just now, in the past couple of months, seeing the effects of that. So after a few months in radio airplay in Poland, that track Perfect was finally added to a couple of playlists on Spotify. Hity Lata, which is the summer hits of 2019, it has over 111,000 followers. The single was amongst the 200 most searched songs in Poland on Shazam, Spotify Viral 50 playlist. As well, it was added to titles, a couple of title playlists, as well as a couple of Sony Filter playlists on Spotify. So those are some of the successes of the first single. The second single that came out in the summertime, because some of these things had happened before, other things started to happen on platforms after that. So the single was released on the 24th of July, the second single, Don't Know, and only then did we start to see it get a New Music Friday placement in Poland, for example. It didn't come around the first time, but it only came around with the second single after some other groundwork had been laid. So the second single received Spotify New Music Friday in Poland. Sweden, it got a new hits playlist as well on Sony Filters playlist on Spotify, as well as a non-Spotify playlist called the Pop Justice Edit picked it up based on previous streaming traction. So, how is it possible that those things happened? This is the key piece of information. This slide is extremely key. You guys need to understand what's happening on this slide, and I'm going to break it down slowly. What I want to highlight, The Orchard is not a label. We are a distributor. We are able to help enhance and amplify what it is that you already do. Those things that you already do, we call them marketing drivers. So those are statistics about an artist on social media. Those are tour dates, and those are some of the things that we're going to go through here. And that is the information that you guys need to get in place. We can help you put some of it in place, and we can advise how to put it in place. But that's the information that you guys need to get in place that allows us to then go to Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, and pitch to them, and it makes them want to playlist things. Does that make sense? Does anybody not understand what a marketing driver is at this second? I see a hand in the back. What? How much what? How much paying for what? I can't hear you, sorry. Does someone want to get him a microphone? Can you hold on to your question until after, because maybe I'll answer it. Is that okay? I don't understand still. How much does the orchard cost? No. Your stuff. All of this. How much does this cost? It depends on everybody. Every single person has to pay however much they have to create whatever it is that they want to create. That's a slightly unspecific question, so I'm not exactly sure how to answer it. But I'm happy to talk to you afterwards if you prefer. So, coming back to the marketing drivers that the label got in place for us to be able to work the singles. And these are the things that work in Poland. Poland's a market of 40 million people, significantly bigger than your market, and it is also a neighboring country, so I would consider trying to push some of your music in that direction. So, what they did, what Virginia Records, Alma's label, did was they were working with a local label. They hired a local label for label services to secure media coverage and do a local PR push. The single was serviced to all of the radio stations and television stations the music television stations in Poland. And the label themselves happened to have some direct contact already with some of the biggest stations. And so they were able to secure radio play on Radio SK in Poland, which is one of the most important commercial radio stations. And if Radio SK playlists you, all of the other radio stations will fall into line. Additionally, because they worked with MTV locally in Bulgaria, they were able to also get MTV in Poland to be interested in putting the music video online, and that also garnered some attention. So another thing that Alma did was the artist herself prepared audio and video IDs for Focus Media. So that means recording something along the lines of, "Hi, this is Alma. Listen to my new single on Radio Eska, janky," you know. So the things that happened as a result of this marketing and PR push on the label side was they were #1 on Spotify Poland's Viral 50, #3 on Shazam Poland, and at the top 5 for 4 consecutive weeks, #8 on the official Airplay chart, #12 on iTunes. Not to mention they got several more playlists on Spotify. And one of the most important things that resulted out of this all is that Alma played the Sopot Top of the Top televised festival and had a press day around it. So she secured coverage on some other television and some other radio shows by actually spending the money to come to Poland, play one song, and do press around it. So my point is, this slide is quite important because you have to understand that it is your job to initiate these sorts of pushes and these sorts of projects. It is absolutely essential that you guys understand that when you're entering a new territory, you are making an investment and you are investing in these marketing activities. And then we can take it and we can take it further. So please keep your eye on Alma because she's a really interesting one to watch. She's really only put out 2 singles and all of this is already happening. Another reason why that worked well is because she's plays pop, as you heard. And pop is one of the 2 most popular genres in Poland, pop and hip-hop. Hip-hop is probably popular everywhere. But pop and hip-hop are the 2 most popular genres in Poland. So if you're an artist making that kind of music, or if you're a manager managing that kind of music, Poland is a good territory for you to look at. So now breaking it down a little bit, and let's take a quick look at the Polish market so that you understand a little bit more of the context of what I was referring to. So as you can see, Poland still has a very heavy physical market. Digital sales amount to about 24-25%. Performance rights are about 25%, and sync as well is a small part of the income mix. What are the most popular stores, or DSPs in Poland? So we have a big chunk, the yellow one on the right there. That is the physical sales store that we use, Membrane. That's our physical supply chain. But the most popular stores in Poland by far, Spotify, Tidal, YouTube, iTunes, Apple. So, as I mentioned earlier, Poland is a country of about 40 million people, so it makes a big consumer base. There's a really growing middle class, and there's about 40% of the country goes to concerts annually. So there really is actual interest in music, and there really are people also listening to music. Something to keep in mind in Poland is that there are both commercial, national, and local radio stations. If you don't have the budget for a massive plugging campaign to the commercial radio stations, spend a little bit of money plugging to local radio stations, because those local radio stations will start to build a little bit of a buzz for you to be able to then get as well to the bigger commercial radio stations. So either you need to hit it big on a commercial radio station and that will bleed that way, or you need to do the groundwork at a grassroots level and work up the other direction. But it is important to understand that radio play in Poland is very, very important. I think it's quite important in general in this part of Europe, and it is something to be aware of putting together for yourself. So the DSPs only entered Poland a few years ago, really, and The most popular, as you saw on the previous slide, are Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and Tidal. Not all of them have local curation. So Spotify has a local curator, has fully localized content. The local curator was hired in October 2017, and they're hiring another one right now, which means they're building increasing local content. So that's really great. Apple Music has a half localized homepage. They don't have local representation. They're based in Madrid and Portugal. We work extremely well with them, and whatever we plug to them usually gets quite some exposure on Apple Music. YouTube just launched YouTube Music in Poland, and they've just started a pitching and an editorial process. So we're really looking forward to seeing how that picks up, basically. And they're going to be starting playlists in Poland and such. Tidal. Poland is Tidal's second biggest market in the world. Tidal is a tricky one because you don't see any reporting from them, and you don't see that much revenue very often. So draw what conclusions you would like. However, we work together with Tidal, and they're a very important partner of ours in Poland because of their on-platform marketing and their off-platform marketing. They really do a lot of off-platform marketing. They organize listening sessions. They take fans to concerts at Wembley. They run competitions. They do Instagram takeovers. So for artists, they're a really sexy platform for us to work with. As I already mentioned, the most popular genres in Poland are hip-hop, rap, and pop. And we've already gone through a whole bunch of the marketing drivers that are really important in Poland if you want to bring your artist there and if you want to start to grow your career. Now, the reason that I focus on Poland, even though we're in Latvia, is because you don't have editors here that focus on doing any local content yet. So the Baltics do not have localized homepages on any of the platforms, really. There aren't local playlists. You don't have local language content yet that is specific to these platforms, yet it's all coming. So, but all of that is curated out of Poland for the entire region. So that's why I suggest a push into Poland if you're interested in growing your band outside of Latvia. But I also suggest that you start to learn what works in Poland because they're going to do the same things in the other territories relatively soon. I'm pretty much at the end, so I think it's time for some questions. I gave you guys a lot of information, and I see a lot of faces that are just like, oh. So I really want to make sure that you guys ask some questions, and I'm really happy to comprehensively answer them. In the meantime, please make sure you check out theorchard.com for more information. And yes, questions, but let's get a microphone going. Facebook is not really a DSP. We have a direct license deal to Facebook. Most of the distributors have licensing deals with Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook and Instagram are under the same licensing deal, and it's called a blanket license. So you don't get paid per click or per watch because they don't have UGC in place yet, which, to be honest, is a bit shocking. But so what they did is they paid $1 billion, I think, to the music industry 2 years ago, and all of the labels and distributors split that up, and it gets filtered down to artists based on market share. Does that make sense? So you don't get paid per how many times your music is actually on Facebook or Instagram, but you get paid a kind of general amount of money for the fact that it's there. They are working on implementing UGC opportunities or UGC into those platforms, and they probably will change their model of pay very soon because the blanket license deal ends at the end of this year. TikTok, we deliver directly to TikTok. There are a lot of marketing opportunities with TikTok. That is something for you guys to really think about because they really work with local content. It's worth getting on the platform, understanding how it works. It's worth music happens on that platform in 15 and 30-second chunks right now. It's also a blanket license deal for now. However, that is changing really quickly because they have already started implementing UGC. I actually had a meeting with the head of European music partnerships with TikTok 2 weeks ago. He did a master class for one of our labels in Warsaw as well. And what he said is that their UGC right now has only swept about 5% of the platform. They've grown to 1 billion users this year, so they've grown very, very quickly. In 6 months, they grew 500 million users. I know, it's insane. Like that platform is growing insanely. This is why I suggest everybody jump on it, because you can do actually a lot of really interesting things on it. So they pay out according to a blanket license for now as well, but that should change in the future as well. Yes. Hang on. Do you want to wait for the microphone?
Do you have any experience about working with instrumental music, which is not like pop and pop rock music, and obviously not all of those tools work for instrumental music? Did you have any experience in working with such an artist or solo artists or etc.?
I actually manage a couple of instrumental artists, so I understand your challenges very well. The instrumental world is difficult in the sense that
I know that.
because also the platforms do not regularly update their playlists. They created their, ambient chill playlist 4 years ago. It's a playlist of 600 songs that then is algorithmically curated within that 600 song and looped and fed to you individually, kind of curated based on your algorithm, but out of a pool of a certain amount of music that they put together already a while ago. So that's one thing that's tricky. They update them a little bit once in a while, so we definitely do plug as much as possible to editors, and we flag things as much as possible. But it is a very challenging thing to playlist. However, something that is extremely important to remember is that playlisting is not a marketing strategy at all. Playlist is one element of a marketing strategy. There are lots of other things that you can do, including campaigns on other platforms, on-platform campaigns. So just because Spotify might not be playlisting your artist does not mean that it's not worth looking at a campaign on Spotify to create also an ecosystem around the song. So let's say we could discuss putting together a banner campaign, a homepage takeover that would also coincide and coordinate with your social media campaign. And then that creates a holistic environment, an ecosystem in which a lot of people are seeing that song or that ad pop up to them in several different places at the same time. And that actually has a really high click-through rate then. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
So there are lots of possibilities. There are also a couple of things that I forgot to mention under the marketing section regarding Workstation. We have a couple of built-in marketing tools that are really, really cool and that are still underused and that present great opportunity if you can get creative. So we have the opportunity to create pre-save campaigns, landing pages, and smart links within Workstation itself. So that means you have one short little link that you can create weeks before your release that will point to one page that has the listen buttons or the play button to all of the DSPs. And then on the day of your release, that automatically goes live. So you can either do a pre-save campaign, you can do an email collection campaign, you can do a follow campaign using these links. You can do it all by yourself from the Workstation. So you have full control over what it is that you do with that. That's really cool. That means you get to hold on to also all of that data and use it again in the future for retargeting. Additionally, it makes for really simple communication to your fans because you only ever push then one link out there, and it gives fans the opportunity to then choose where they want to listen to it themselves. So that means you don't have to post a Spotify link, a YouTube link, an Apple link. You can just post one link, and people can then choose where they want to listen to your music themselves. And very soon, we'll be adding to Workstation. So what's, I think, interesting about the Orchard and why I'm really happy that I've been brought to speak on the Technology Day here is that we are a highly technologically focused company. We have about 200 coders that sit in New York City and build and add and make the platform faster all the time. So they're literally writing code right now to add campaigns into Workstation as well. So in order to work best with our retail marketing department, you have a minimum ad spend of €500. €500 in the UK or in the United States is a reasonable small spend because it costs more money to buy impressions in those places. It doesn't cost as much to buy impressions in Poland, Lithuania, Latvia. So a lot of our clients in these countries find it challenging to spend €500 because you don't have the budgets. So what you will very soon be able to do is run a campaign yourself for €200. You choose the amount that you want to do yourself, use all of the data and all of the audience information that you have gathered in Workstation, and you can run a very smart advertising campaigns across social media platforms and retargeting campaigns yourself at whatever budget you want. And so that's really cool, and we're really excited to be bringing that to Workstation soon. As well, we'll be integrating podcasts very soon. So that's another possibility to keep in mind when you're thinking about building up your marketing mix for your artists. Does that answer your question? Okay, cool. Anyone else? Over here?
Hi. Yeah,
Hi.
Thanks for the presentation.
My pleasure.
I hope I understood what you said right. So you said that we don't have any offices here in the Baltic states, but it's kind of a random question, but like I've noticed in Spotify you have like Latvia's, I don't know, top 50, top 20, that sort of playlist. So do you analyze that data in Poland or?
So
like
those are playlists that are created simply based on algorithms. They are not human curated. So those are things that like Spotify doesn't need to have an office for.
Right.
It's just built into their algorithms, and they generate these playlists, right? Do we analyze that data? Yes, actually. We do. I receive in my inbox every week a list of the trending tracks for across Europe. And that are across Europe, globally, and in Eastern Europe specifically. So what we sometimes end up doing, actually, as the Orchard, is we'll notice that a track from Russia, for example, is suddenly trending in Poland. And it is our job, literally, we do this every Tuesday before our Tuesday meeting. It is our job to notice that track, try to figure out why, contact the label beforehand, before our team meeting, and ask them like, hey, why is this track suddenly trending in Poland? Did you guys get a radio placement? Did you play a show? What's happening? And then we can take that to our EU team and we can say, hey, Russia, like, hey, Russian team, this is happening. Hey, Poland team, hey, Germany team, this is happening. Now, can you do something more with this? Because the idea is that you always want to be able to put resources into things that are already trending, because you want to push things to trend even farther and faster, because it brings everything up behind it as well.
Yeah,
That's a
right.
good question.
Yeah, and it must be good then, because after that experience, then you can use it then for future like artists from that country, right?
Exactly.
Also, what did I want to say? Oh, I forgot. Yeah, about Poland being like a great market, especially for people in the Baltic states. About songs in English and stuff, do they like how does it?
That's a good
If
question.
you look in general, like how does English work?
That's a good
on radio
question, and
stations?
it's a tricky one. So there is a law in Poland, just like in many European countries, that requires a percentage of airplay to be in Polish language. I think it's at 40% right now. So that's high, but, you know, there's a lot of English language and a lot of surprising increasing amount of Russian language and Ukrainian on radio in Poland based on population shifts, simply, and demand. But so English language works fine. But one thing that is important to remember, and that I did mention as well, is that DSPs like to support local things in the local market because it increases their subscriptions. So that's just across the board in general. So generally, if it's a German language music in Germany, they're more likely to playlist it than not necessarily non-English, but then non-German music. It's just because that increased local audiences statistically like to listen to local music more than international priorities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So that's always a challenge, but everybody faces these challenges going into any market. So
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. Any more questions? Sorry, I feel like I'm totally squinting. I just can't see very well.
The question is, in your opinion, are those DSPs interested in Baltic region or Latvia specific?
I don't have an opinion on that particular topic. I really don't. I think that the situation that we have currently speaks for itself.
Okay, thank you.
But I do think it will come fast and soon. Yep. Microphone over here.
Hi.
Huh?
I'm representing Brainstorm, and we're happy to work with the Orchard. But sometimes I get questions from other artists or management people. What is the difference between the Orchard and other distributors? Why would they need to work with Orchard and not with others?
So, well, a couple of the things I mentioned along the way, for example, the really integrated global teams where we really do talk to each other regularly, literally every week. That's one thing. The other thing is our tech solution is awesome. I don't think there is anyone else on the market that has such a comprehensive tech solution where you can literally go from upload to payment and everything in between, and really deeply delve into your data as well. And those two things really set us apart from other global distributors.
But if you're an artist who, let's say, has just one release, is it still, what would be the right word, effective to work
So
with? I think it's easier if you're like a record label, and then you
It's
have
not
many
even that
releases.
it's easier, it's just that we are a distributor that works with record labels. There are not that many distributors that work directly with artists. We sometimes work directly with artists, either in artist services or through management companies that work with us as well. So typically we don't work on just one individual artist. That's not the style of the company. That's not what it's set up to do. There are solutions for that other places, and those other solutions will not provide you with the support that we will simply. So it's really a balance always.
Because is it working?
Yes.
Because that's the specifics of our
Yes.
region.
Yes,
that
I'm
we-
fully aware of
yeah.
that. And so something that we've actually been doing recently to sort of handle that situation is we've been working with management agencies to sign them up as a distributor on the Orchard. And then individual artists can use a local management company to go through and work with the Orchard system. So we've been doing that specifically so far in Estonia, just because, I started working at the Orchard a year ago. I can't do everything at the same time. And I started in Estonia simply, and I'm kind of working my way backwards. So there are a couple of management companies in Estonia that we've set up as distributors, and they function then as kind of like a small localized solution. Because that's a problem, that's a challenge that you find on all of the smaller markets. So this is the way that we deal with that, basically. So if there are any managers in the room that want to make some extra passive income and want to set themselves up as a distributor, come talk to me afterwards.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Great. I'm really happy with how much time this took. There's a little bit of extra. I'm going to take this microphone off so you don't all have to listen to me chit-chat anymore. But if anybody wants to come up and meet me, please do. I'll be around for a little while, and I'm happy to answer questions individually and talk further. Thank you guys very much.